Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Well, hello everyone. We're so excited to have Laura Dern with us today. Laura is an amazing actress, but also a dedicated activist. Her hard work for gun reform, women's rights, and leading up to this election, the amount of work she's done to get out the vote makes her one of the most inspiring women to us. So thank you so much, Laura, for joining us today. It's so good to see you, and we're so happy to have you.
You too. I'm so excited to be talking to you guys and adore you. Love you.
So we wanted to start off by asking you what voting means to you personally.
It was meant to be a right, but as we all have known, and as all the pioneers and descendants that came before us know, that it's a privilege because they fought and risked and even gave their lives to ensure our right to vote. And it should be taken with a depth of meaning and gratitude for the opportunity to use our voice with our vote and try to make this country reflect the equal and human rights that matter to us, and to be honoring a level of gender and diversity equality, protection of all human beings' rights, with a level of conscious compassion and humanity considered in the country we see around us. And I know so many of us, most of us, don't feel that way. So we use our vote, and that's not just for President of the United States, but within local districts, the measures we get to fight for, state, Senate, congressmen and women that are running, that are really exciting people, so that we can, again, have this country reflect what matters to us and our values.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also leading up to this election that we all know is very, very important and vital for those rights that you're talking about. So for you, what are some of the topics that are, forefront in your mind when voting this year?
Forefront in my mind is in the presidential election, I care about people with integrity, people who have a deep understanding to the nobility and power of the office of the president, that they bring empathy and consideration for all Americans when holding that office, that they look forward to developing and growing the nation toward what every human being deserves, not trying to revert it back. And I don't like bullies. So I care about people who deeply consider fellow humans on this planet with the way they lead. So I am deeply impassioned about this election, and particularly for your and my kids, for your guys' generation. I care most particularly about the fact that climate change scientists are saying we have 7 years to fix this. So this 4 years of this presidency in the next election is it. It's reversing and climate change and using soil science and being leaders in green energy, or not. And that is really weighing on me. And I hope every American, as they have this opportunity to vote for what's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could not agree more with that. And so also for those who don't know, you're actually currently not in the United States. And because of these circumstances, many people also are out of the country. So can you tell us about how you're going to be voting this year and what that plan looks like for you?
I just voted. I just voted by mail. And thanks to FedEx, it's on its way back to Los Angeles, and it will go straight into a drop box. And my son is in New York, who's Oli's dear friend, and he just voted in his first election ever, which we talked through by phone last night, which was very exciting. And we both cried. I mean, it's so moving to get to feel that your vote counts and your voice matters, and to be so protective of that right is really, really exciting. And it's also really moving. I'm working here on a film with 400 crew who are in the UK, and to see how much this presidential election in the US matters to them and to so many throughout the world, as we're seeing on international news. It really matters. And again, for climate change, particularly, it really, really matters. And obviously, having leadership that not only takes the pandemic seriously, but really considers its people. Because if every country isn't focused on flattening the curve and doing what's right, and not giving false science to their people, its impact on the rest of the world is going to be enormous, how we handle the next several months. So it's so critical. And I felt so privileged, as you guys will be eminently, the first time I got to vote. And yet I've never felt the power of it like I do right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned it a little bit, but how does it feel being one so far from the US right now, considering what's going on? And I know you were home for a little bit, but still, I mean, with your kids here. And then also, like, how are the people that you've had, you know, you mentioned this, that you've had conversations with other people in the UK, like, how are they reacting? What are those conversations like?
It's cool to see that the people I'm speaking to, all, you know, who live throughout Europe and are here working as well on this project, that they're as anxious as we are, and really feel like compatriots in this election, in a way that's incredibly supportive of the American people and what America deserves to be and how America deserves to be represented. I don't feel alienated by being American. I feel like they're really rooting for us to do what's right for the globe. And I don't feel the judgment in it. I feel the horror in certain behavior that they're witnessing. But in the past, when leadership is, you know, incredibly, well, disgraceful, the rest of the globe can respond by sort of hating everyone in that country. And I don't think they're aligning us with the choices of the current president, and they're really wanting to, to see immense change for everyone's sake. So that's exciting to see.
And so one of the things we wanted to talk to you about too is we know that you care deeply about activism centered around gun reform, among many other important topics. Was there a turning point or something that really resonated with you when it comes to that topic and using your platform to fight for gun reform?
Well, the tragedy at Sandy Hook was, I think, the first time I was aware not only of the heartbreak of that incident, and the families of Newtown and what they went through, but was aware of the president, President Obama at the time, and the impact on him and the Obama administration in their response to that tragedy. And still, with all the effort, with Vice President Biden at the time working so diligently, a man who truly is responsible for giving us the Brady Bill. They worked so hard, and we saw such little change in our country. And then, horrific tragedies that could happen every few years and shock a nation became weekly conversation. And when Parkland happened, and, it was in everyone's minds until it wasn't. And then the tragedy in Las Vegas occurred. And then everyone's determined to affect change. And, how is it possible that assault weapons can be ordered online without a background check? This has nothing to do with Second Amendment rights. This has to do with protecting the children of our country, the American people. And no one's saying we're trying to take your gun away. No one's saying you don't have your civil liberties. And no one's saying you don't get to be a gun owner and be a hunter. But I don't know anyone, I don't know any conservative NRA member who has said they're uncomfortable with background checks or putting some kind of cease and desist on gun shows and online bug stop orders. And, so I don't understand where the disconnect is. And it feels very much in the hands of lobbyists and the NRA and misinformation. So my hope is that everyone can come together to affect change, the left and the right. That's not a political issue. That's a human rights issue. And we've seen too much tragedy. And I think, emotionally, what really impacted me, as Oli knows, is, things that our families have gone through, people we have known, how these fears have affected us, and how talking to Oli and my daughter Jaya about feeling afraid to go to school, that's just insane, and yeah, your parents and I had earthquake drills in Southern California growing up, but, not school shooter drills in kindergarten. So when Jaya was having, that kind of drill at 5, 6 years old, I knew that I wanted to do anything I could, and certainly use my voice, as so many do, to work particularly with Everytown for Gun Safety, who are such an amazing organization and do extraordinary work.
When you mentioned this, it's with this election, I think it's not even, like you said, right, because so many of the issues that people are fighting for are about just human rights as a whole. And so, I think that's a really good point, that like, if you have kids, like, you'd think you'd do the right thing so that they do feel safe in school. So yeah. I think that was a really good point. And so,
well, and also, just to add to that, that the presumption is that the other side is so far apart from you that there will never be change. And it's the same as the choice issue in this country, Under Roe versus Wade, there are massive protections in the Affordable Care Act in protecting women's healthcare rights. And Planned Parenthood is an extraordinary organization that provides affordable health care for low income families and mothers. It offers free mammograms. Only 4% of any work Planned Parenthood does has anything to do with abortions. But if you wipe them out, which President Trump has certainly made a huge goal of his, you know, you're losing women's access to health care, to birth control education, and to mammograms. And there's no way that conservatives throughout this country don't also want that. We all want the same things, and we have to have conversations about it. You know, why there haven't been deep debates for us to listen to how the choice issue protects all of us. And birth control, access to birth control, sex education, you know, is a way toward eliminating unwanted pregnancy. So why are you wiping that out? If, you know, that's something you care deeply about. But it's just an example about the divide in this country, as we saw with Black Lives Matter. You know, a lot of people are having the same conversation and might even agree, but we somehow don't get there. So I hope for division to narrow so that people can start talking about how to truly problem solve in this country.
Mm-hmm. And our last question is that, you know, has activism always been a conversation within your family when you were growing up, and how that has affected you today, if it was? And I know that your kids are also very involved in activism and creating meaningful change for the world. So how do you kind of take what your childhood and influence your kids as well?
Well, I learn every day, and I'm inspired every day by you guys, by Jaya, by Ellery. You're an extraordinary generation, and you will do amazing things to heal this planet and make it a healthful, better place, and move us into the generation of healing and green energy in a way that our generation has not figured out. But I was raised by a very passionate activist mother. And it's not that she was an activist, it's that she is a humanist. She grew up in a small town in the South, and you help each other and you take care of each other and you're all equals. And that was the sensibility in my household, you know? If a plumber comes to fix something in your home, you offer them a meal before they leave. Like, that's the way my mother and grandmother were, and how they were raised. And that left a huge impression on me to feel responsible for my neighbors, for my fellow people, and for this planet. And that's never changed. And it's just, it's the way we must be. I'm lucky as an actor, as an artist, to get to consider through storytelling and through using my voice to hopefully continue to learn and grow, while I also can hopefully educate through storytelling. That's an amazing privilege. And I aspire to continue to learn how to do that and make it matter. But there's a lot more I can do, and there's a lot more that each of us can do every day. There's somebody doing 10 times more than we are. And I think to continue to stay inspired, that we can truly affect change, that we don't have to engage with the bully, but we can beat the bully. Yeah. And we will.
Yeah. And I think, and also my last thing is, like, art is so powerful. And I think you said this, through storytelling. I don't know what year it was, but Citizen Ruth, like, that told such a true story and such a relevant now. I mean, I watched that movie like 3 years ago for the first time, and it's so powerful. I mean, it's true, like, it's so relevant.
That makes me love you and your parents, because also Jaya saw it at a pretty young age, but it's pretty radical.
But yeah, so I think that storytelling and music and art and all of that is such a form of peaceful protest. So I'm really glad you brought that up because I believe in that just 100,000%.
Yay. Well, let's all keep doing it together. And thank you guys, both of you, for wanting to inspire others and continue to spread the word, how we can teach each other to make a difference. It is, it's a team sport, this thing called saving the planet. So I love you guys for your hearts and your passion and your dedication.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for everything and for speaking with us today. We're so grateful, and we're really, truly so inspired by you, and as are many. So thank you.
Well, it's amazing to talk to you both. And as a very proud aunt of Oli, I'm always, always happy to continue the conversation and be inspired by her and you as well. So thanks you guys so much.
Now that the conversation's over, it's time to take action and check out Every Town for Gun Safety and find ways to support this amazing organization. Also, please make a voting plan if you have not already, and don't forget to send it to us for a chance to be featured on our Instagram and win a Let's Talk mask. Yeah. Thank you
so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys.